Hey everyone, and welcome to a brand new episode of BobBoom. Just got quite a bit of the housework done, some electrical work, some tile work, etc., etc. So far, the job search continues. What do I do with a degree? Oh man. I know I'm kind of skimping around on content. I'm not making the amazing stuff that I used to make. And the one of the biggest hitters on my channel was where I talked about GameStop and all of their bad practices and all of the crap I had to experience with them. But oh man, there's so many other jobs that I've had before in the past, and I just don't really know where to begin. I mean, I've been a lab tech. I've worked in construction. I mean, out in the heat, I've worked. Oh, well, now I'm still working technically a medical job. And I got to tell you, that one's not all it's cracked up to be. State licensed and everything else. Like, hey, sure, respond to a scene. Oh, wow, there's blood everywhere. Fantastic. Let me get right on that. And, and one of the things that are said under the breath in this medical field is, I'd rather be working on someone that's dead. And I totally see where they're coming from. Imagine you're in an emergency situation and this guy had a heart attack. He's technically lying there dead. He has no pulse. He's not breathing. He is, for all intents and purposes, dead, just not legally called dead yet. And you have to resuscitate him. You have to get the AED on him and shock his heart back in. You got to start doing them chest compressions. He's not complaining. He's not lying there panicking. He's not squirming around like, oh, I can't breathe and all this other kind of stuff and like reaching for things and complaining about aches and pains. He's just there. He's not moving. He's dead, but it's I don't know. It's a particular kind of mindset. When you talk to enough people in the medical field and you learn what to do in case someone, cuts open their hand, gets in a car wreck, or suffers heat exhaustion, just a whole amalgamation of things, you just kind of think to yourself, it's just like, I could really have a situation where someone just didn't complain about something. Like, yeah, sure, I don't mind. I don't mind responding to an emergency situation, but if they weren't like making things complicated, that'd be great. Thank you so much. There was an instance a little while back, and I'm not mentioning company names or anything like that. A little while back, this guy pretty much suffered from, well, there that goes. This guy pretty much suffered from some type of heat exhaustion, or at least was on the verge of heat stroke. He couldn't even move. He spent over 2 hours in direct sunlight, pretty much, in a full-body chemical-resistant suit. And yeah, I'd say if you're like 35 years old, that's not gonna work out as good as you planned. It ended up being a really big fiasco. By the time that I arrived to the scene, they already gave him, and I quote, 3 Powerades and 2 bottles of water. So this guy that can't move already drank 3 full Powerades, which has a lot of sugar and stuff, by the way. And he drank 2 bottles of water, and now he just can't move. So now this guy is also suffering from a series of cramps. So now this guy is suffering from heat exhaustion and cramps. And finally, when I get him inside, or at least when I tell them to bring him inside, like I arrive on scene and this guy is still outside, and they're like, oh, we don't know, we watered him down and everything to cool him off and it didn't work. Then fucking bring him inside. Like, there's an air conditioned unit, I don't know, less than half a mile away. Like, I don't know, a quarter mile. Like, it gets even shorter and shorter the more I think about it. Like, you could have easily have brought him over to an air-conditioned area and dealt with the emergency situation there. But they're like, no, let's leave him out in the sun and give him Powerade. Yeah, that's good thinking, guys. Jesus Christ. So finally, when I arrive on scene, I'm thinking, this isn't going to work. The first thing I'm thinking is, did he suffer a burn or is this heat exhaustion? And they're like, no, it's heat exhaustion. I'm like, okay, get him inside. What is he doing here? Then, since he can't even move, he can't even walk on his own 2 feet from being so dizzy and cramped up, they had to carry him and put him on a fucking a buggy and stuff. Oh my God, just common sense. Like, a lot of these medical situations, like, looking at it now, and I guess in some ways, not even in a resume aspect, but in an experience aspect, from just a general experienced point of view, a lot of these medical situations are very, very common sense, right? At least the regular, I have to deal with construction workers hurting themselves kind of way. Like, all right, the dude's overheated, bring him inside. But they leave him outside. Good job, guys. Summer heat, give him 3 Powerades and let him sit there under the sun. Fantastic. You guys are doing great. You guys are at least giving me something to do, am I right? You guys are at least making my job look like it's worth it. Oh, man. And there have been so many times where I'm thinking to myself that I can do better than this. And yeah, medical is not something I wanted to join. Medical was someone was lending out a hand saying, I need someone to take this job. And at the time, I really needed a job. That's what happened. I went through the training. I got certified for specific things. And here I am. It's not something I like to do. But at the same time, now it's gotten to the point where I'm just like, I arrived to a fucking car wreck. This guy almost died. 70 miles an hour. Rear ends a vehicle. Spins out of control. Lands in marsh or swampland-ish marsh, if you can kind of picture it. Or like a really large ditch. And luckily, he's still conscious and breathing and alive and alert. Because the entire driver's side cabin of this vehicle was completely crushed in around this guy. To the point where they needed 2 jaws of life and 7 firefighters to help get him out of the vehicle. Now, this is like 6:48 in the morning, and I remember it as vivid as day. Like, it's all still in my head because it was such a I guess, life-changing situation. So he's halfway in this swamp. He's luckily still breathing and alive. And I'm thinking to myself, holy shit, this job is not worth it. I know it sounds selfish, but I see this guy still breathing, still talking. And I have to get ass deep in this water. Like, the water is up to my waistline. I'm talking murky, muddy. I don't know what's in it. My boots are getting stuck and everything in it. And I'm kind of like slowly walking to this guy. And luckily he's still like above waterline. He's not, drowning or anything. And he's crushed inside of his fucking truck. And I'm like, hey, how are you doing today? Kind of sarcastically. And luckily he still senses like a sense of humor. He still has that in him. And he's like, yeah, I'm doing great. I'm doing fine. I'm like, all right, cool. We're going to do just fine. You're breathing. You're here. Are you bleeding anywhere? Do you feel like you're about to pass out? No. Okay, well, cool. You just keep talking to me then. I'm going to be here for you. And eventually the ambulance arrives and all this other kind of stuff. And this dude, I swear to God, the EMS lady asks him, sir, how old are you? And he goes, I'm 63 and a half. Oh, man. All right. Like, look, I understand I was having a sense of humor, but at least this guy is at least, a little bit on the lighter edge of it. Later on, we figured out that he completely shattered his left leg in like 20 different places. Look, don't worry about it. I think he's okay now, but pretty much he was trying to speed to work. So, as someone who has been generally in car wrecks before, maybe speeding to work isn't exactly the best idea. At least really pay attention to what you're doing. If you're speeding, don't be on the phone, but then again, don't ever really be on your phone. I say that as a hypocrite, though. I mean, I'm always on my phone. Fuck's sake. Oh, jeez. What a mess. I have been through so many different career paths so far. I might as well just throw another one under my belt. I mean, I'm searching for being a process operator, and that essentially means that I would help make oil and chemicals and all this other kind of crap for all these different companies. I would essentially help make different resources for other companies to take use of, right? So, I mean, of course, plastics, they come from oil. Of course, you have diesel fuel, that comes from oil. You have gasoline, that comes from oil. It's requiring these massive refineries, and they always need workers, and that's kind of what I'm now certified for. That's what I have a degree in for. And I'm really crossing my fingers. It's not just those. Any place that has a system that has machinery can generally use a process operator. Like someone that is at least certified and understands that if this part goes wrong, what else is going to go wrong, or if this part needs to be replaced, how to swap it over to another part that keeps the system going. And eventually, once you get into the groove of it, yeah, sure, it's easy and all, but it's been a few months. I think it's been about 2 months since I got my degree. Sure, it takes some time. I'm going to get it. I'm going to get a job. Don't worry about me. But, you know me. I have to at least be a little selfless in this. And you've heard it on my channel. I want you guys to succeed. If you've listened to any of my channels, any of my life advice, any of my job advice, etc., you know the crap that I have seen, that I have been through, and I am telling you where I have messed up because I don't want to see you mess up. So if you are ever offered a medical job and medical is not your thing, only take it if you have to. How's that sound? Only take it, like, really, if they full on offered it to you and you really need a job. That's kind of about it. Oh, man. I can't believe I've only been rambling for about 14 minutes now. 13:40, whatever. There's so much on my chest. Of course, you want to talk about video games. Sure. Let's talk about video games. I recently bought Titanfall 2 on PlayStation 4. It was on a PlayStation Network for like $5-10. I don't even remember. And it runs the system so hot. Like, sure, I love mecha. I love giant robots of all kinds. And as far as the mecha's concerned, I really enjoyed it. All of them have like these different abilities, and depending on what gun you have determines the different abilities and all this other kind of stuff, like putting up a force field that collects bullets and then you could throw the bullets back. Cool. That's all awesome and stuff. The problem here is that the game runs the system incredibly hard. I don't know why they decided, hey guys, let's make this game so resource heavy that the PlayStation 4 from start to finish whirs like a lawnmower. Like, the entire system is always like, because that fan is just at maximum, always trying to push out that heat because this game is always graphically intensive. And don't get me wrong, I get as a console developer, you need to make a game look good, you need to make it look great and all this other kind of stuff. I mean, you can't let it lag behind, you know? But holy shit, you're really eating up resources with that game. You really are, and I think it's mainly an optimization issue. I mean, they really threw on a lot of the shadowings, a lot of the effects and things like that. They really ramped it up to where it just kind of burns away at your system. You don't want something like that, right? Don't get me wrong. Like I said, I enjoy the mech stuff, but I'm kind of scared to play it some more because I just don't want my system to fry. This was kind of expensive, guys. Like, don't eat the crap out of my game system. The game's not worth it. Like, it really is a very generic first-person shooter, but finally when it gets into the mech portions of it, you're just like, all right, cool, this is kind of fun. Everything outside the mech is eh. But I saw that they also had HD versions, or at least port versions of Destroy All Humans 1 and 2. I also bought those. Those are great games. They were great when they came out, but for some reason they didn't work too well on the emulator. So I'm just gonna play them on my PlayStation 4. Fuck it. I think I gave like $5 in total for each, and I don't mind that. Destroy All Humans was a fantastic game. And that's at sale price. I think they were asking for like $20 as the base price. Like, screw you. I'm not paying $20 for a PS2 game. The developer's not even getting money for that anymore. The voice actors aren't getting money. The graphic designers and everyone else, they're not even getting any kind of money for these games anymore. And you still want to charge these exorbitant amount of prices. Which, by the way, speaking of exorbitant prices, 3 friends of mine in the past bought Yakuza 0, and I highly recommend Yakuza 0. It is a fantastic game. It is a prequel to all of the Yakuza games. So if you were ever interested in something that is like a street brawler mixed with a very story-driven and side-questy kind of system, like it's so hard to describe because there are some people that say that Yakuza is like Grand Theft Auto, but it's Japanese, and it's not. You don't steal cars or anything like that. You get in the fight. There's, depending on wherever you set up the fight, there's a specific amount of items that you can use. Like, hey, there's a bicycle on the street. You grab the bicycle and you beat the guy to death with a fucking bicycle. It's all right, cool. Like, it's a street brawler with really heavy story elements to it, and it works. It's fantastic. I love the main character. I love stoic characters. I love ones that know what they have to do. They try and accomplish it, and they try and just generally, for the most part, keep their mouth shut, I guess. They're not really complaining about a lot of things. They're not completely clueless about a lot of things. They just know what they have to do, and they do it. So Yakuza 0, fantastic game. Right now, it used to be $60, which was the main complaint for a lot of these people. But right now, I think it's about $20, and it's coming out on Steam, I think, next month in August 2018. So be on the lookout for that. I think it could be something else. But I think it's roughly around $20. What do you have to lose, especially with it being on PlayStation and PC now? Get it. It is a fantastic game. I know it's shilling. I know it's selling out in some regard, but I really genuinely loved Yakuza 0. And the 3 other people that I have introduced Yakuza to through Yakuza 0 loved it as well. Like, that's 100% love ratio. Give it some love. Give it a shot. And when it comes out on PC, it's going to have like 4K resolution and 60 plus frames per second. Dude, just go for it. Go for it. That's well worth $20. Oh, man. And Yakuza 6, I recently beat Yakuza 6. It was one of the first collector's editions of a game that I have bought in such a long time. It came with drinking glasses and art book and all this other stuff. And I was kind of disappointed. It's okay. The story's good. The story's always generally kind of good in a Yakuza game, but the gameplay, they switched it up. They thought they could kind of like, I guess, streamline it, and it didn't work. It didn't work. It did not work. But I am still going to buy Yakuza Kiwami 2, which is an HD remake of Yakuza 2. I'm definitely buying that day one. Like, there goes my money. And speaking of there goes my money, I also bought a shit ton of games on the Steam sale as well. In fact, let me bring up Steam. I bought Prey. I've been playing that a little bit, like the newer Bethesda Prey. I don't know what to tell you about that one. That one's a very mixed opinion kind of thing, because the start of it is kind of shitty. The very start of it is kind of lame, but as you kind of like character progress and finally get some of the upgrades that you're comfortable with, it gets better. Like, it gets a little bit more palpable. It gets more enjoyable in some regard. Let's see, I also bought Hunt the Showdown, which is one of the games I've been looking at for quite some time, but at the same time, there's heavy PvP in it in the Dark Souls sense. So like, hey, I'm out on this mission, I need to go kill this thing, and all of a sudden, like, there's another player in there, and they can kill you, or you can kill them, kind of thing. But I haven't tried it yet. I want to. A friend of mine gifted me Consortium. I've given it maybe 13 minutes worth of my time. I haven't touched it yet. Consortium The Tower, the sequel to the first Consortium. I love the first Consortium, but unfortunately there was like some kind of crashing issue. I couldn't fully complete it. I was really enjoying that one. But he gave me the sequel as a gift, since I was buying him a shit ton of gifts just to make him feel bad. Like, I already bought him 2 other games, and all of a sudden I bought him a 3rd game, and I'm like, you don't know what to gift to me anymore. My Steam account's worth $7,000. What could you possibly give me? But he did. He found something to gift me, and, you know, I have to give him credit for that. I bought Star Ocean, the HD 4K remake or whatever, SteamWorld Dig 2, Strike Soon Infinity, Toy Soldiers, Little Nightmares, Dot Hack GU. I love the Dot Hack games. There were originally 4 of them on PlayStation 2, and it was a quadrilogy. You play the first one, the save file builds into the second, the save file builds into the third, the save file builds into the fourth, etc., etc., etc. And there are so many different, like, things that your save file affected. So, you know, going into number 1, once I learned like what you could get in number 2, I was making sure to do all these like little things that affected my save file in number 2, and then number 3 and number 4, etc. And we talk about the amount of time that it took to beat that. In fact, I have to be honest with you, because you the boss of Dot Hack number 4, I used the Game Shark for, and it's not something I'm entirely proud of, but looking back now, based on the amount of things that that guy did, that the final boss of Dot Hack 4 did, I had to cheat. There was no way at maybe 15, 16 years old, maybe a little bit old, I'm not sure, 17-ish maybe, I was going to beat that boss. Like, there were moves that he did where he completely decimated turned the entire team into like 1 HP. Like, out of the whole squad, everyone was 1 HP, and there's no way I'm going to beat someone like that. Especially when right after he decides to do like a finishing move on somebody. Just, you know, fuck you, dude. You know, you could go in there running as many items and stuff like that as you can, but the way that I was trying to play it, I didn't want to deal with it. So I'm just going to throw that out there. Yes, I have cheated in video games. You know, there's not a whole lot of video games that I'm currently excited for. And I know you've seen on my channel that I was kind of screwing around a little bit with VR chat. And I do have a few more clips that I could compile it into a video of me pretending to be Winnie the Pooh. That was all for shits and giggles. I was kind of running around in a Avatar world where it's just this massive map and there's tons of avatars for you to pick from. And I saw Winnie the Pooh and I'm thinking, oh, that would be fun. Like, like whatever. Everyone's thinking it's Winnie the Pooh and it just ends up being some troll or whatever. But apparently I did have some kind of talent for doing the voice acting of Winnie the Pooh, or at least trying to intimidate him. Like, it's not the best. It still needs work. It needs to be a little raspier, in my opinion. But there were people out there that genuinely liked my impression of Winnie the Pooh, and I just kind of stuck to it for a little bit. And I'm not going to upload this video of it, but there was one woman that actually cried from it. I do have it saved, and I do have it compiled in the sense that, it's all the best parts from it. But apparently she collected Winnie the Pooh memorabilia, and my impression, based on how genuine I was trying to make it, in a sense, was pulling at specific heartstrings. And she thought I was trying to troll her. She thought I was out to try and, make fun of her or something like that. And generally, I wasn't. Like, once I kind of heard in her voice that she felt upset in some kind of way, or I guess, I don't know, happy that Winnie the Pooh, or at least someone that could pretend to be Winnie the Pooh good enough, was there to kind of talk to her, I didn't want to ruin that. Like, it's just, it's such a strange situation. Like, sure, you could type in the comments like, oh, Bob, you're a good guy, and yeah, blah, 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 blah. All right, yeah, whatever. Just save it, okay? But when I had to tell her bye, I told her in the Winnie the Pooh voice that I appreciated the amount of time that we spent together, and I was always going to be in her heart, and all this other kind of stuff. And she loved it. Like, she was kind of, you could tell over the mic, she was kind of cracking up a little bit, I guess in tears. At least that's the way that I heard it. So I was just, I don't want to step on that landmine. I'm just going to, play out the part, stay Winnie the Pooh, and let her, I guess, her thoughts and dreams of Winnie the Pooh stay intact. I didn't want to be like some guy pretending to be Winnie the Pooh, build her up, and all of a sudden completely crash her down, especially when she sounded like she was getting ready to fucking cry. That's not something I wanted to do. That's just dick move. There's some people out there that probably would have gotten a kick out of that. I don't think I would have gotten any kind of enjoyment out of that. But I do have some other clips. I might compile those and upload. In fact, I think I need a little bit more, so I might boot up VR again and try and mess around with that. But right now, like I said, I'm trying to beat Prey. I do have some mixed opinions on it. Like I said, I'm still kind of in the very early stages of the game trying to work things out. But generally, if there's anything that you're excited for, or anything that you ever want to ask or talk about, or even want me to talk about in the next recording, please let me know. I am an open book. So pick any chapter, and I will give you the details. Remember, you're not going to see any ads on my channel as far as I know. Who knows what YouTube wants to do, and you will never see me advertise anything. Welcome to BobBoom, and have a good one.